Well, in this opening scene, we're being shown Manhattan. Everywhere we're going to see in Manhattan is what we're looking at right now, including the name of our cast, which I have written down.
More importantly, let me just mention that this opening theme song, amazing. It's called The Darkest Side of the Night, and it really set the tone for what would be not a great movie, but I love the opening song.
Okay, so let's get our characters out of the way so I don't have to give a shit about them later.
You will care about these characters.
No. Rennie, Sean, Colleen, Charles, Wayne, Miles, Deckhand. They never gave the Deckhand a name, but they gave him number 5 in the cast list.
Ah.
Okay, then. I guess he's going to be a very important character. Well, not as important as his next guy, Julius. And then you got JJ, Ava, Tamara, the Admiral, and Jason.
So we're counting Jason in the cast list.
Well, that's because his name appears in the opening credits.
So one thing worth mentioning is this is the first time that we have a returning actor playing Jason.
Yep, Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder, who would go on to be should have been in Freddy vs. Jason, but was left off for an actor who's also in this movie.
Ken Kersinger.
Playing Jason's stunt double.
And a random bartender that gets
killed, apparently. Allegedly, supposedly.
No idea how, but we'll get to that.
Get to that
to it.
Nonsense eventually.
Anyway, so we get Jason's backstory, like always. Also, did you notice that it's no longer a house behind us because that house caught on fire and blew the fuck up? It's now a campground again.
So let me get this straight. Crystal Lake, which has series and series of murders, mysterious happenings, a lot of different negative incidents.
And now a house blowing up on the land.
Yet after every incident, somebody comes, renovates the shit out of it, rebuilds, opens it back up, and it's a thriving business once again.
Yes.
What the hell, man?
And the only difference with this one is instead of Jason being chained at the bottom of the lake, in the middle of the lake, where it's deepest, he is pretty much only 3 feet underwater.
Buried under the deck from part 7.
Movie. So obviously
Where?
This is the same location.
Where the hell is Tina's father? Why is Tina's father not there buried next to him?
Because fuck that abusive asshole.
You know, if they didn't have him buried on the deck, we could theorize, hey, he floated to the other side of the lake. This is a different location. But they have him on the fucking deck, so it has to be the same place.
Yeah, because there's no way him and the deck got spirited away to another location and just so happened to be on top of him.
You know, this movie's not helping with the continuity.
With still chains around him, as was the ending of what the father did to Jason when he pulled him under.
Not only that, but we have 2 high school characters
having sex.
And the guy actually is telling her about the story of Jason, even says, supposedly, he's in the water right below us.
So Jason,
well, supposedly you're an idiot then. Why are you here?
So, there's one thing I've noticed, though. So he scares his girlfriend with a mask of Jason. And it's clearly the mask of Jason because it has the notch in the head. And remember, Jason's mask technically did rip off him, but there was originally more damage to that mask. But yeah, there's that notch in the head, which tells me one thing. This town is now using Jason as a tourist attraction. How much you want to bet that campground behind them is not an actual campground, but a tourist attraction is showing off all of Jason's killings?
Well, it's a good theory because as a campground, unless people are literally just
don't love their kids,
so unaware, nobody would be like coming here. My thing is, whatever legend they have about Jason is established, the body's never been found. That's a big hint for your ass to stay away.
Yeah, but people have been going there for 1 to 2 years without anyone dying. So the killer, even if he hasn't been found, is not in this area anymore.
1 to 2 years is the threshold for it to be like, oh, we're okay now.
Yeah, right.
Let's go camping.
Apparently. But anyway, so we get Jason's backstory again.
Got a recap.
How many times do we need a recap for a movie? Most likely everybody has watched plenty of times. Because half the time they don't even recap the previous movie. They recap the first movie and the second movie. 1 through 4 usually.
Well, this is interesting because it doesn't recap part 7. But he is buried beneath the deck, so clearly they're...
Part 7 is still canon to this story.
But the guy doesn't talk about that in part 8.
Hey, yeah, that camp over there was a house. It blew the fuck up.
Because if he talked about it, it exposed how stupid it is that he's there. So, hey, here we go, this happened.
And also now we know Jason apparently will always come back to life with electricity. Granted, it makes a little bit of sense seeing as how he's underwater. Water conducts electricity, so shock the living hell out of him.
Well, this wasn't really too creative way of bringing it back, though. You could have thought of something. Compared to Tina bringing him back to life or Tommy Jarvis, this is just some random thing bringing him back to life.
Apparently, the creators think that electricity brings him back to life because this is the second time electricity has brought him back to life.
What would that have actually happened in terms of that level of electricity below the boat and all that crap?
Well, it's underwater, so and they hit an electrical line. Tells me that's a lot of electricity going in that man. He should explode.
Isn't somebody managing the lake and managing where the damn electrical lines are?
Also, here's the question: that electrical line wasn't in there in the previous movie, which means it had to have been put there for the camp. Which means that electrical line is literally right next to a body somebody would have seen when they put that line in.
Not that. If there's an electrical line there, someone knows it's there. Would that really be like an open space for people on their boat to come and set?
No, it would have been buried under. They would have like kind of dug a trench and tried to bury it, or they would have put it above.
So one thing we know is that there's absolutely no reason why Jason's body should still be down there. Should have been dug up by authorities. What the hell did Tina and Nick tell the authorities at the end of part 7?
Something tells me Tina was probably sent to a insane asylum.
What about Nick?
Nick was probably shot.
I agree.
Most likely by Camp Crystal Lake authorities because they don't want their secret to be exposed. The real villains are the authorities of Camp Crystal Lake because they want to continue this being a tourist attraction so they can continue making money for the town, but people keep going around screaming about Jason.
Jason's alive! He's alive! He's back on a boat! He's gonna kill... Well, he has terrible aim. Let's say that.
No, yeah, he does, which is surprising considering the fact he's had better aim from further away.
And he's right next to them and misses point blank.
Also, didn't you notice that this mask has darkened eye holes for some reason?
Why is it so yellow? It's a yellow mask.
Why is there darkened tinted eye holes for a hockey mask?
Because the guy that bought the mask is a weirdo and made some fun adjustments to it. I don't know. I don't know how Jason, maybe he's just rusty, but he misses point blank here, and it really irks me.
So Jimmy's death, he gets stabbed with the harpoon gun itself.
It's a very misleading death because they pulled back, and it looks like his guts are on something, but it's actually just the...
It's just the harpoon
there's
hydraulic system.
Which then makes it not cool at all, because there's a little bit of blood on there, but that wasn't really graphic at all.
Yeah, but... Let's let everyone think that it's guts because it makes it seem cooler.
She's given a solid, I'm going to say 2 to 3 minute head start here where she runs away. Jason's still down there. She has a lot of time to figure out what to do.
She's not that far away from land.
Was staying on the boat in any scenario this smart move? Because you're right, you're surrounded by a lot of open space. I'm assuming she can swim. I don't think she'd be on the boat if she couldn't swim.
Right.
You're right, swim to land.
Well, you can't say that. Rennie can't swim, and she gets on a boat.
Fair, but that's specifically her character. 9 times out of 10. You got land there, you got water here, you hide in a little trap door in the boat, and basically corner yourself in. Jason, when he gets up, actually has to look for her. He's like, I don't know where she's at. Jason's got to be thinking, hey, if she can win the water, she's gone.
My wife actually watched this movie with me, at least the first half of this movie. She's never seen it. And when she's watching this, she's sitting there watching, it's like she knowing Jason is walking towards an area pretty intently. And when he opens up the door, Amelie's like, how did he know she was in there?
He found it immediately.
And I'm just, and all I had...
It wasn't like some hidden door. It's an actual door that has a handle.
Yeah.
So Jason's walking, he's like, oh, well, of course, I'm going to check the one area on the boat that she might be in. And opens it, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe you found me. Well, you hit in the dumbest fucking spot possible.
Well, since Jason is activated by sex, it's the cuties. He could smell the cuties on her.
Well, look, I want to feel bad for Susie, but damn.
I don't.
No, she seemed likable enough, but why are you hiding the dumbest spot ever?
That's why I don't feel bad for her.
By the way, what was up with Jason's this death scene? Because Jason was like, he was lowering the thing down at like a snail's pace.
Well,
and then he gets close to her, and then suddenly,
because what was that character's name from part 2? Sandra? The one that very slowly walks up to her when she had the time to run.
Sure, but 9 times out of 10, he's a quick hit killer. He's not
What tells me is this director liked that kill, thinking it was an intense moment, when it's really people are thinking, run.
This is more of a Michael kill because Michael savors the kill. Mm-hmm. Jason's a quick hit, kill you and move on. So this was kind of weird.
Well, let's go ahead and meet our hero, Rennie, and her pen.
This is a special pen day.
Stephen King pen.
You only graduate high school once, and when you do, you need a great present, and some people get a car, but she gets a pen.
A Stephen King pen.
Oh, well, hey, I mean...
Because the one thing we hear about Rennie is she wants to be a writer.
Probably a haunted pen, too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Stephen King, he most likely wrote it while he was in Maine.
Okay, so let's establish this. It's a senior class trip.
On a boat named Lazarus.
A pretty big boat, too.
this boat is doomed automatically.
Well, that's what the deckhand says. For some reason, he's just already like, hey, this cruise is doomed. Like, well, why are you on the boat then?
Because the name of the boat is Lazarus.
Why did the deckhand take the job on the boat if he knew it was going to be doomed?
Because he didn't know there was going to be a bunch of teenagers, I guess, until he saw them.
And he warns them. Okay. Something I've been wondering.
Why is the boat named Lazarus?
No, where's this at? Because
It's in Crystal Lake.
I don't think it is, but I don't know. Okay.
It has to be in Crystal Lake. 'Cause Jason just
Can we establish
pops out of nowhere.
the teacher says, hey, Susie and what's his face are missing. The two that died at the beginning were supposed to be on this boat.
Yes.
So clearly they had somewhere close, came the night earlier with plans to catch the boat the next morning.
Yes. Now, also remember, Rennie was not supposed to be on this boat. It would not have changed the story any, but
Okay. Where are they at? This is Crystal Lake.
allegedly.
Is a starting point for a cruise to Manhattan?
Well, it's apparently this lake actually connects to the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
And I'm dead serious because I actually looked this up. For some reason, I thought New Jersey was next to one of the Great Lakes. Don't ask me why.
Wait, would anybody take a cruise from New Jersey to New York, though? Aren't they literally like an hour away from each other? They're on a multiple day cruise. Days go by, Nick, on this cruise.
Yeah.
And when they got off the boat, they have to swim on a thing.
Also, the real question I got is,
This is not New Jersey.
this class graduated high school, allegedly. Yet, they still have to have a teacher tell them you're not allowed off this boat or what sites they're going to go see. Are they? Did they actually graduate or?
I don't think so because Tamara, she apparently can't get off the boat unless she does her school presentation for the teacher. If they'd already graduated, then there'd
Why
be
would
no
you need to do that?
final project.
Okay.
But at the same time, would you go to New York before graduation?
Well, the real question is, even if you were, why would you go with your teachers? And then still have to listen to your teachers.
What was the plan when they all got off the boat? Were they all going to one hotel? It's very weird. And one thing we gotta stop is how many people are on this boat. I say over 100 because
So
they cut to different scenes of them in the dance room and all this stuff, and there's a lot of people on the upper deck.
So one count I read was closer to 50 because it's just one senior class.
Senior class is a lot more than 50 people, though.
It depends on the size of the town.
The fact that it's they're taking a cruise makes me think that it was not some small podunk town.
This boat really isn't all that big.
The interior is.
That's because the interior, most of it is underwater, and it's in an engine room.
No. Think about this, though. There's a dance room. There's a boxing ring room where they're boxing. There's a spa. This is a huge boat from what they show on the inside.
But yeah, when you look on the outside, it does not match.
Well, it's Hollywood, so it's a movie. So the interior was as big as they wanted to be.
Either way, so we get our fun montage, and we get a death. Now, I just want to mention, as I said in the previous one, Jason's main weapon should not be a machete, it should be an axe.
I think he should just stick with the guitar.
As clarified with this next death scene, as you brought just so vehemently, so
Eloquently. Yeah.
brought up, JJ calls her guitar an axe.
Ooh.
And then Jason uses it on her like an axe.
You know,
Jason's main weapon should be an axe.
I don't blame Jason for this particular death. He heard really bad music and decided to stop the music.
Music was pretty decent.
No, he wanted to stop this horrible music.
It was pretty decent.
His eardrums were like, oh, let's establish she wasn't playing the music.
No, she wasn't.
She turned on the damn stereo and was, I guess, faking it on the guitar. But we do establish one thing here.
She's dead.
No, teleportation.
Oh, yeah.
Horportation.
Because it starts at the top and then somehow ends up at the bottom.
She runs away from him, only for him to be in front of her. And the walking spaces here are so tight that it's not impossible.
Also, there is one thing I'm curious about. Now, I've been on cruises. I've been on Coast Guard cutters. Obviously, the Coast Guard cutter one was more of a job, but when I was on a cruise, Guests were not allowed in the engine room for safety reasons. Not to mention, when she was in that engine room, her eardrum should have been blasted because shipboard engines are loud. That one, that size, was probably a 32-cylinder diesel engine. Running at full speed, she would not have eardrums no more. You would not be able to hear her music. You would not be able to do a damn thing without any kind of hearing protection.
All right, well, simple quick fix. Let's assume Jason, when he smashed her head in with the guitar, destroyed her eardrums. It all ended well anyways.
Her eardrums were already destroyed before Jason even got to her.
No.
Should have been. But the real question I got is how was she able to get into the engine room? Why is there no crew on this boat?
There's a crew. There's two people. There's the guy driving the ship, and there's the captain, and there's the
So you don't have an engineer?
deckhand.
We don't have an engineer? What happens if the ship's engines fail and you end up lost at sea?
It's a high school trip, man. I mean, they could have took some money from the athletic program and got a better ship, but that would have destroyed next year's fall basketball team. So.
And maybe Jason wouldn't be killing motherfuckers.
And my question is, why the hell did Jason get on the boat? When Jason pops up from the water, like, yeah, I'm boarding the boat. It's
Which
like,
apparently he's, I missed this. Amelia didn't. He snickered when he started coming off that boat. Out of the water. Freddy versus Jason.
Jason boarding a boat, for me, a big boat, is pretty out of character.
There's a lot of things out of character about Jason in this movie.
His whole thing is he's protective of Crystal Lake. This boat is leaving Crystal Lake. What are you doing, Jason? You want to go to New York? What are you doing?
So Rennie is having visions of baby Jason. Baby Jason's not deformed, apparently.
Wait a minute. This series has a big problem.
This movie has a big problem.
But this series does, because even when the dude was telling the story at the beginning about the history of it, he's like, Jason drowned in the lake, and then he just cuts to like, oh yeah, and then Jason came back. The series hasn't decided. Did Jason drown as a ghost, or did he actually survive on the other side of the lake? Because Rennie's seeing visions of Jason in the water. If he survived the drowning, he's not in the water. That makes no sense, right?
Well, to be fair, she's seeing him visions in the water. He could have been out for a swim at that time. But at the same time, parts 2,
Maybe,
3, and 4 only really make sense if he wasn't a spirit. Though, actually, no. Part 4 would have made sense if he was a spirit still. But 2 and 3 makes a little bit more sense, him as human.
Yeah, but that's why I'm kind of like, okay, if he was aware enough to be in the water after having survived, wouldn't he have actually like tried to get Rennie and her uncle to help him? Wouldn't he be a scared little kid, like, help me?
Depending, because around that time, he most likely would have been on his own for what, about a year now? 2? He probably wanted a new friend and actually like, I want you as my friend. You're my friend now.
So you think he was happily swimming in the water and he saw her because he does actually grab her, I think, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's a cry for help. I don't know.
Either a cry for help, or maybe at that point in time he was hungry. Or maybe he at that time wanted revenge on another kid because of what happened to him. Because also at the time he doesn't have a mother anymore. He got his mother taken away from him.
I just didn't. I get what you're saying. That makes sense. But the way the guy told the story at the beginning, he was like, Jason drowned, and then legend has it he didn't. The correct way to said it would have been like they thought he drowned, but he actually survived. Mm-hmm. Like they don't want to commit to like either side. Like they're still leaving the room open for like, oh yeah, he's actually a ghost. He died in the water.
To be fair, I don't think some of these writers, when writing the next movie, even watched the previous movies.
Yeah.
There's no way with how many continuity errors there are in this series.
Somebody told him, hey, make sure that he's still in the water at the beginning, but beyond that, there's no continuity at all.
It's like, you don't need to see the movie for it to make sense. Yeah, fuck you, dude.
Just looking at Jason, this one, he no longer has the back with the bones and all that.
He's also squishy.
Very squishy.
Like, everything he does.
Like, you can at least match his look from part 7. It's just lazy.
Wait until you see his face.
No, I don't want to get into that.
So we established Julius as a boxer. He was boxing some random guy.
Yep.
Random guy decides to go to a sauna where he thinks Julius enters and says, "Hey man, no hard feelings." Like, dude, you're the one who just got your ass handed to you, and you're saying no hard feelings? What did you say to Julius to piss him off?
I gotta tell you, this is a fun death scene.
I mean, it is.
I don't want to. I can't be negative about this scene. This scene is great. Jason with a damn lava rock, just shoving the dude's stomach and saying, "Motherfucker." Just
Motherfucker, shut up.
Jason's pissed off in this movie.
Also, Tamara tries to kill Rennie.
Attempted murder.
Because since now I know it is not on a Great Lake like stupid me for some reason thought. It's in the Atlantic Ocean. There is no land around them at all.
Yep.
If no one saw her get pushed in that water, she would have died.
I had a big problem with this because I understand that she wanted to kind of get back at her, but this was definitely attempted murder.
It was.
When they show her fall off the boat, she falls off a very high place off a moving boat. And luckily,
Luckily, there was people around that saw it.
there should have been some much more repercussions for Tamara than what happened.
Yeah, except for you're not going to be allowed to go on to New York. You're going to stay on the boat. It's like, boy, send her to jail. She is now an adult.
Yeah, and that doesn't make sense. She's going to stay on the boat? How's that even possible?
She is an adult. She just tried to kill your niece. Send her ass to jail.
Maybe Tamara is Melissa's little sister from Part 7.
Yeah, but unlike Melissa, this character gets absolutely no real screen time.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about her so quickly dying because I feel like there's way more she could have done as a character. If you're setting her up, again, this movie like the last one, really setting up two villains, the uncle / teacher, and then her.
Which we don't really see the uncle as a villain up until you just see him as a scared man trying to get some kind of rationalization about the situation.
I think he gives off a sleazebag vibe, though.
But it's not really until the very end when you find out exactly why Rennie's afraid of water.
Yeah, he seems like a jerk, though. You can tell they're setting up as a villain.
But still, now, so after 3 times of Rennie seeing baby Jason, there's finally a deformity.
Yep.
Why was there no deformities with the past 2 times she saw baby Jason? Well, okay then. Tamara and Wayne frame the uncle.
Because otherwise she'd be stuck on the boat.
This woman not only just tried to kill your niece, but now she's trying to seduce you. There's something wrong here, guy.
Well, unfortunately for him, their plan works and they get him on tape.
Well, fortunately for him, Tamara dies.
I think what happened was that, while this whole framing was going on, Jason's in the hallway just laughing he's like, all this shit doesn't mean anything because I'm about to kill all these motherfuckers in the next hour.
So Tamara, like I said, this whole scene actually would have made a little bit more sense had Tamara actually survived until Manhattan. Because once they get to Manhattan, they originally think they're safe.
I think they made a critically bad decision
of killing all of this character so
killing
early.
Tamara. There's 2 of them, and I'll talk about the other one later. One thing I think Wayne made a really bad move here of going for it with Tamara because I think his position with her right now is that she actually does like him as a friend,
but she's still using him.
She's using him, but in his position where he has no leverage, I think later on maybe, but going for it here, it kind of just. But I guess he needed the truth. The truth was she don't like you, so now you are rejected.
Yep, and he had a chance with JJ, but then he would have been dead too. Anyway.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, so Tamara's death, we see nudity. Don't care because she decides to be the dumb. With lack of better words.
There's something funny about it. She looks out her bathrobe. Jason opens the door and just pokes his head and looks around. He's like, hey, room service.
In here?
Room service. Like usually it's just we would just walk in.
I got your daily dose of fuck you.
It's so funny to carefully poke his head in oh, anybody in here? I'm wondering if she didn't look out the door.
Why did this woman also not run when she had the chance? Because notice how Jason did not, when she fell, Jason didn't go for it. He went straight for that mirror. When he was punching the mirror and then looking for the right piece of shard, she could have gotten the fuck out.
I think because she was naked.
I don't care.
I would have valued my life more.
Yeah.
So funny thing about the scene is that
vanity kills people?
Vanity kills, but the funny thing is I guess the when he hit her head into the thing, that was supposed to break the glass. But it didn't, so that's why Kane Hodder improvised punching the glass and then grabbing the piece. So that punch to the window was actually all
I'm going to
improvised.
be fair. I personally liked it with Kane Hodder going up to the glass and punching it.
I like it, but the visual supposed to be her head like breaking the glass. It just cracks it, but then it looks more aggressively punches the shit out of it.
Yeah, because you could tell behind that mask, Kane Hodder was pissed.
Yeah.
He was like, this glass.
Punch the shit out of it. So he's getting ready for Julius.
Either way, so we never really talked about Sean and the admiral, who's his father.
Well, the captain of the boat basically wants his son to follow in his footsteps, but clearly Sean has no interest and doesn't know what he's doing. So
Yeah, so
you have like that conflict there, but the problem is it's never really explored beyond the opening scene. And then before we can get to it, Jason kills the captain, so there's no resolution there.
captain and the first mate, making Sean now the captain of the boat, which I'll get to that later.
That means the boat's doomed either way. Even though Jason wasn't on the boat, the boat was
The
subdued.
boat's named Lazarus. This boat was doomed without Jason.
Well, everybody on the boat does start to get suspicious now that, hey, maybe there's a killer on the boat. And you got the deckhand running around and be like, there's a death curse on this boat.
Damn deckhand Ralph.
And you have McCulloch, the uncle, being like, that's absurd.
Jason is not on this boat.
Jason is dead. It must be the deckhand. Ridiculous.
So Jason then cuts the ship's phone service because they did get a hold of the Coast Guard.
Oh, good.
But instead of calmly explaining what's going on, he takes a second and goes, oh, good, I finally got you. Jason has the time to rip the thing out and be like, no guard for you.
I love Julius leading a revolt with the teens because Julius is able to give the fun line of, hey, school is out, McCulloch.
So...
But there's a funny scene with Julius and his friends. Somebody empties out a bunch of weapons in front of you, in front of the group, and says, all right, take what you want. Everybody, about 5 people, they dive in. Everybody comes up with a weapon, and they're like, Julius, are you going to get a weapon? He's like, nothing
But this gun.
but this gun. These
Why did no
these
one else
dumb
got the gun?
motherfuckers took everything except the gun?
Well, no, Wayne also got a gun.
Okay. But who are the ones that picked, like,
The axe.
an axe and a spear over a gun?
Yeah.
So Wayne and Julius are above average intelligence. Everybody else is literally idiots.
Well, that's because Wayne and Julius are the only two with names.
True.
So now we get...
But I can't feel bad for these people that are about to die.
Now we get one of the things I've kind of wanted to bring up. So Sean tells Brenny to go drop the anchor. Okay, cool. Yes and no, it kind of makes sense on the situation, but then again, if the phone service is cut out, you can't call for help. So to be fair, I would keep the boat going. Me personally would keep the boat going. But Sean's been around boats all of his life, so he should know a little bit more. When the uncle stops Rennie and says, does it make any sense to drop an anchor in a storm? Well, for one, motherfucker, yes. You can drop an anchor during a storm because I was on a boat that did that. Believe it or not, it can cause stability if you drop it correctly.
Cool.
And also, if the boat's big enough, it most likely has 2 anchors to cause more stability. But you also have to have the boat angled correctly. It's a whole mess. But still, yes, it can make sense. Now, am I going to believe? The guy who's been around boats all of his life, who most likely does know what he needs to know to get the boat safely around, or the uncle who has no knowledge of boats whatsoever.
Clearly the uncle.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, he's a teacher.
All that setup, but the uncle is much older and much smarter. But
So let's get to Ava's death. Played by Kelly Hu.
yeah, what's funny with this death is she's another character that I feel like they should have let her get to Manhattan. Because she actually smartly showed her character by separating herself from Tamara. As soon as Tamara did some shady shit, she was like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. I think that should be rewarded character-wise, but instead, and not only that, all that said, she's still coming back then as a good friend to check on Tamara later on to see if she's okay, only to find her dead body.
Right.
But if she didn't die, we don't get this Jason disco room death scene, which really, really leans into horrorportation.
Oh, yeah. So the first thing I have an issue with is Ava gets to the party room, and instead of just continuously running to one of the other doors, she stands in the middle of the room and looks around while Jason's just messing with her.
Well, no, the thing is, though, what you'll see, though, is that she keeps turning and moving into a direction, but she takes like one step, and then Jason's in front of her. So then she'll turn the other direction, take one step, Jason's there. So every direction she turns to run into, Jason appears.
But before Jason even shows up, she had a whole 2 seconds to make a decision. And when you're running for your life, you do not stop.
True, absolutely.
Because Jason was not in there initially, and not until he opened the door saying, "Surprise, I'm here."
I wonder if there was just so many doors that she was trying to figure out where do these damn doors lead to.
At that point, I wouldn't care.
But once Jason gets to the room, okay, that's fair. Once Jason gets to the room, literally everywhere she turns to, he's there.
And then he starts choking her, in which case, I'm pretty sure, if last I checked, this movie did not have the budget for a stunt double, and Kelly Hu slammed on this damn floor.
So I read that
If I remember correctly,
Kane Hodder, he likes talking to the victims beforehand and be like, hey, listen,
this is going to hurt.
I'm going to have to be a little rough with you to make it look real. But I agree also, he threw her down hard on the ground, and I was like, is that Kelly Hu? Because that looks like that would have hurt a lot.
Well, then again, with some of the other things that woman has done, I wouldn't be surprised if it really was.
She was probably gung-ho for it.
Yeah.
But I felt like, again...
If I remember correctly, I think I've heard that she actually did hurt herself because of that scene. Because they've had to do multiple takes on it.
Yeah. Probably, but hey, I mean... She probably
dedicated.
She probably was her first movie. She's happy to be in a movie.
I mean, to be
whatever
fair,
you want to do.
my favorite role of her was Scorpion King coming out of that bathtub.
I liked her, and she was in the show Vampire Diaries for a season. She was
Really?
good. Yeah, the first season. I liked her character here because I thought that they could have done more with her, but she wasn't one of the ones fortunate enough to make the boat of survivors.
Well, to be honest with you, this movie has a really bad habit of killing off characters before their story is even anywhere near completed.
What about some more horrorportation? What about the guy with the axe?
Well, we're not even there yet. So first, the ship crew guy. The only other guy that just randomly shows up in the engine room.
Oh, yeah.
Again, no earmuffs. Most likely at this point, Sean has made this boat full steam ahead. So again, 2 or 3 32-cylinder diesel engines. But I'm actually deaf in one ear because of a 16-cylinder diesel engine.
Right.
Picture a 32-cylinder, most likely 3 of them at once, and tell me why these people are not wearing earmuffs.
Wasn't the budget.
Either way, so Wayne shoots him.
For the high school or for the movie, so.
So Wayne shoots him because he loses his eyesight, which...
He actually murders a classmate.
No, it was just a ship crew guy.
Oh, he murders somebody, though.
But here's the real question I got. Because I don't wear glasses. I don't have any kind of eye vision problems yet. But he loses his glasses and then uses the camera as some form of eyesight that makes him able to see perfectly.
Well, the problem is the camera, from what I'm seeing, is has night vision on.
So
he's seeing green in front of him.
So is this?
There's no way this 19. Well, I guess there's no way this 2000 camera is better than whatever. His vision can't be that bad unless.
Apparently, it is that bad. But the real question I got is, can a camera really replace someone's prescription glasses?
No, if his vision's that bad, the camera's not going to make him see better.
Yeah. So why is he able to see that he just shot a regular guy through the camera lens?
And the better question, when he runs into Jason, why is Jason acting like it's a paparazzi? He's like, get that camera out my face! Jason's first instinct is just knock the camera out of it.
Because Jason doesn't want people taking pictures.
He doesn't want to be on Channel 6 News.
Yeah. So Wayne gets electrocuted, which causes a fire in the engine room.
Hey, wait a minute. Did you notice? This is badly done.
That the fire started in his crotch?
It started before he hit the thing.
Yeah.
If you go in slow motion, he's still in the air, and the sparks and the fire is already starting before he hits it. Who the hell? How did that?
Can we talk about another
my favorite death in horror movies always It's someone being thrown onto something, and immediately like sparks start flying. I love it. I saw it in Halloween. I've seen it in, I think maybe Nightmare on Elm Street, maybe. But it's always funny. But
Freddy versus Jason.
This is the funniest one though, because it's always like, okay, the body hits something and immediately it starts going to shit basically, and the body catches fire. It's just hilarious.
So, can we talk about probably one of the funniest Jason things is he warns everyone of the fire.
Does he?
He hits the fire alarm.
That was a weird.
After the fire starts, he goes up and hits the fire alarm. Like, I feel like that would not be what Jason does. I feel like Jason would just walk away and not give a shit.
Did you
How
know?
did he even know that was a fire alarm?
Do you notice there's a line of dialogue? Maybe the mother, not the mother, the female teacher says it, but it's hinted at that basically the senior class pretty much drowned on the boat.
So,
Because at the point they're like, "What happened to Deck C?" It's like there is no more Deck C.
so actually, I know about that. I was watching the movie. She has 4 of the students in the restaurant party area where Kelly, whose body should be. Then she leaves them there. Now, when the flood actually starts, she says, "Oh, I left a bunch of students in the restaurant," and the kid goes, "There is no more restaurant." So
That's a very casual way to be like,
yeah,
that many people died.
she literally is just like, "Oh, okay." It's like, lady,
But
you just kept people there and they died.
Yeah.
I would be fucking traumatized.
devastated. But do the math though. Again, if only these 5 people get off the boat, at least 100 people just died on the boat. That should be really traumatizing for the female. By the way, the dude McCulloch at the beginning said, "Hey, this cruise was your idea. They're all dead because of you, lady." Now, speaking of this, we didn't talk about the axe guy.
Yeah, so Miles. Well, Miles. This guy, he has an axe.
This is the funniest thing ever.
He runs into Jason where Jason disarms him, and then he starts going.
No. He doesn't run into him. There's a funny moment where he's just hanging out with the axe, and Jason walks up behind him and is breathing hard as shit. Turns around, tries to swing the axe. Jason says, "Give me that shit," and then he takes off running. Now he's running fast as shit.
He's not even running. He runs up to the thing and then starts climbing the ladder.
He runs into Jason. He runs away from Jason, and Jason's there. So then, because of that, he starts his climb. So he climbs as high as possible. They cut to Jason on the ground. They cut back to Jason grabbing him and throwing him from the top.
In which case, he gets impaled by a weather vane.
Horportation alert! And then Julius.
Ship explosion.
There's that too.
So I do have an issue with it. So when Jason throws the axe, right? The axe clearly comes from his right side, lands in front of him. You can clearly see the handle's facing right. Julius runs left as if that's where the axe came from. Julius, you're supposed to be the smart one.
Hey, he still runs into Jason.
Somehow.
Somehow, wherever he decide. Now
Ship
Jason makes a weird move here, though. Instead of killing Julius, just throws him in the water. First thing, him throwing Julius in the water, right? Way more effective if we didn't already see Rennie thrown into the water earlier. Because Rennie survived that, so it doesn't seem as threatening when it's done to Julius. The other thing, though, is as you just said, how long is Julius in the water? Because when they're leaving the boat, Julius comes up he comes up from under the water onto the boat. There's at least 9 minutes between Jason throwing him in the water and them on the boat. Julius just broke a world record. He's in the Guinness Book of Records.
So speaking of axe, because we get another axe kill, the deckhand
Oh, yeah. Wow.
has an axe in the back after waving a knife like crazy.
Because Jason was like, you fake-ass crazy Ralph. I hate you people warning me about me. People always warning the kids about me.
So they abandon ship. Julius does a jump scare, kind of like Jason in part 4.
So on the boat, you got Julius, Sean,
Rennie, Colleen, and
McCulloch.
Charles.
Charles
Yeah,
McCulloch. And the dog.
Yeah, Toby.
Okay. This next thing is very interesting.
They get to New York.
Whoa. This is all very weird, though. Okay, they're, I guess, close enough to New York where they're just going to paddle their way to New York. This whole time they're paddling and just they're sleeping calmly and it's moving slowly. What is Jason doing this entire time?
Walking.
No, he's in the water.
Walking.
Why didn't Jason just kill them on the boat?
Because
on the raft.
it's not as fun. He could easily kill all 5 of them.
He's just slowly swimming behind them.
Walking. It's likely too heavy because he's already wet and squishy. So he's most
He
likely
pops
too
up
heavy that
out of the
he
water.
floats, just literally goes all the way down to the bottom of the lake, of the ocean.
The ocean.
ocean.
The bottom of the ocean.
Not to mention the ocean is so salty that the further down he goes, the heavier he ends
Do you
up
know
getting.
how deep the ocean is?
Depends on where in the ocean you're at.
Okay, well, it's
And then most likely once you get to where the docks are,
it's deeper than where Jason's going, right?
because he does arrive in New York at the exact moment they do. So it's not like he was far behind them.
So I clocked in a movie called Jason Takes Manhattan. We arrive in Manhattan an hour and 3 minutes into the movie.
Yes.
Good
In
job.
which case, the very first...
Can we retroactively super false advertising? Because I feel like I was misled.
Well, here's the real question. So, very beginning of the movie with Jimmy and his girlfriend, they're listening to a broadcast of someone talking about this class going to New York.
Yep.
Why do we care that? Why does New York care that this random class from New Jersey is going to New York?
Not only that, but when they get there, should
no
it
welcoming
should there be
party.
some welcoming party asking questions?
Right.
Shouldn't they immediately be reporting that, hey, our boat sank? Because it seems like when they get off the boat, they're just there's no welcome dock, nothing. They literally just walk away. Mm-hmm. Huh? They don't have to check in with anybody?
Nope. Apparently not.
No authorities are there at the docking station?
Nope.
Whatever?
Apparently not.
What the hell is that?
But apparently, this is a very ghetto docking station. By ghetto, I mean they get attacked by 2 junkies right away.
I think that
And for some reason, they must be out of women because they take a shining to Rennie.
So it's funny. So what happened was a lot of these shots of New York are actually Vancouver.
Obviously, it's
So
one of the cheapest places to film.
so it seems like it was funny. They were talking about this in the Crystal Lake Memories book. Like basically, it seems like they just pictured every stereotype they could think of in their brains of what New York was, and then made Vancouver look like that because they only had 1 week to film in New York, and that's gonna be all the Times Square stuff. But yeah, I mean, is New York that bad where they're literally getting jacked right off the boat? That just seems extreme.
If they really do apparently show up in a bad area, yes.
So whoever was planning the boat ride just had them show up in the ghetto. Like, first of all, actually, I guess they didn't actually take necessarily the path that the boat would have taken. They're on the raft.
Probably not. But at the same time, this was Colleen. She just killed 4 people that we know of
with no regard.
with no regard, and most likely close to 50, between 50 and 100 more,
So their first priority should be like alert the authorities that
and get rid of Colleen.
kill her, but try to send someone back to look for survivors from the boat.
There is no surprise.
It's like 2 days later.
Yeah, right.
Instead, literally, it looks like they're about to enjoy the New-ification. Julius is like, it's New York!
And now Jason becomes a hero. He kills junkie number 1 with a syringe in the back.
He's an equal opportunity killer. He kills bad guys and good guys equally so.
By the way,
Saves Rennie.
I'm assuming Rennie was shot up with heroin.
I thought it was...
I don't know any drugs.
I guess so, but I don't think her actions afterwards suggest that. She seemed pretty normal.
Don't.
She's just like sleepy.
She's literally what? One scene it looks like she's high, and then the next she's normal again.
In this very night, she wouldn't have immediately went back to normal the way she did.
Right. So was there a point to shooting her up?
From the time they get to Manhattan, it's probably at most an hour to the end of the movie, and within the timeline of the
Yeah.
movie.
So was there a point to shooting her up? It added nothing to her character.
It was bad writing, and also...
Junkie 2 gets his head meeting a pipe.
Okay, now I have to ask. My impression, I'm just going to be honest, my impression is that this was not a death scene. Jason was just like, motherfucker, get out of my way, grabs him, hits that against the pipe, but rather softly. I know the pipe broke.
Well, the pipe broke, so it's not like it would have caused that too much trauma going through him.
I understand maybe he has
If
like
it didn't break, then I could understand a little bit more.
I feel like he wakes up an hour with like a really big concussion / headache.
Yeah.
But immediately dying, that doesn't seem
Well,
right.
how about we get to the biggest fight scene in all movies, because this is what we finally wanted. Someone fighting Jason with his bare hands.
Without telekinetic powers.
Yes.
This is so refreshing after seeing Tina.
Julius versus Jason.
Now, I do got one problem, though. Julius smartly, well, he has nowhere to go, so he climbs up the ladder onto the roof. He runs across the roof. He looks to see what his options are. There's people walking down the street, but him calling them really isn't going to do anything.
Not at this point. I mean, Jason's already behind him.
When Jason shows up on the roof, and this is a pretty big roof, I don't want to say Julius is an idiot, but the one quick observation I would make is that Jason appears to be a slow-moving figure. It seems like he's walking slowly. I'm clearly faster than this person in front of me. I'm on a big roof. I know if I can get back to where the ladder was, I can actually just climb back down the ladder and be safe.
Did you forget horror rotation?
I get it, but still, I think Julius is fast enough to even get past that.
Probably not.
But Julius doesn't know about teleportation. My point is that if he's strategizing, this whole fight scene, although I love it, is completely unnecessary.
No, it's very necessary. So Julius finally realizes, okay, if I can knock him down, I could probably get away. And also, Julius is probably thinking, well, this motherfucker can just appear out of nowhere, because he was not behind me, and then 1 second later, he's busting through the telephone door.
If that's the case, if Julius is actually thinking, hey, this guy's a supernatural being, the idea of a fist fight even seems dumber then. He's thinking, hey, this is a person with a mask on, a human being with a mask on, I'm a good boxer, I got a fighting chance. Now, he's bigger than me, he's bulky, he's scary, but I can fight myself out of it.
The real dumb thing, in my opinion, is he's hitting the mask.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, his knuckles are probably bloody within 3 punches. The mask, which is basically protecting Jason's face.
Well, that's what it's designed to do. It's supposed to protect the goalie's face from a puck hitting him in the face.
By the way, so much so that there's no special effect there. It's just Kane Hodder literally taking the punches.
Yeah.
He's got the mask on, his prosthetics, but because of the mask, he's able to take the punches.
From what I understand, Kane Hodder's actually mentioned that he wanted the actor to physically just start wailing.
Now, I do wonder about the body shots. Maybe he had some padding, because I feel like those body shots probably would have got to him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because nobody can just like take punches to the stomach like that without something.
Yeah.
So maybe he had some padding on, but the face thing is just, take your best shot pretty much. Now, again, this is a long fight scene, all right? Once you get to about 20 punches in, you're seeing what's happening. He's backing up slightly. He's clearly not leaving his feet, though. There's no indication he's going to the ground. He's just backing up slightly. There's a great opportunity for Julius, again, to now just simply run to your side and run around. But he's committing to this punching thing. I think halfway through, Julius said F it and just went on a suicide mission. At that point, he was like, literally, I'm just going to punch him until I can't punch anymore, and that's it. That's how I want to die.
Remember, take your best shot, motherfucker.
Hey, man, he went out like a badass, but what he didn't know was that Jason got that right hook. Jason, we already saw a hint of it when he punched that mirror. It's like, I don't want that person punching me. The one punch knocking someone's head off, that's got to be,
So the fact that you still think Julius had a running chance.
Yeah, because
he's already seen Jason just appear out of nowhere. Most likely he goes down that ladder, Jason's going to be at the bottom, grab him by his legs and rip him in half.
Anything's better than doing a rope-a-dope where you tire yourself out and let Jason punch you in the face.
At least he went out with honor.
His head flew into a trash can, and the trash can lid immediately closed. And then they used his head again in the next scene in the police car. All I'm saying is honor plus stupidity equals where'd my head go? Intelligence plus cowardly
equals half ripped up. You say people can run away from Jason? Let's talk about McCulloch.
Yeah. Hey, listen, McCulloch deserves his death, so I don't mind that.
But he still ran.
Yeah, but...
And Jason caught him.
By the way...
By horror rotation.
I don't think so. McCulloch's death is hilarious, though, because he runs to a house...
Gets thrown out.
Jason walks in the house. And then
he doesn't walk, he teleports in.
No, they show him walking.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden...
But then McCulloch flies out the top window.
Not even 2 seconds later of him walking in from the second story, I might add.
You know what's so funny is that the director claims like, oh no, that wasn't something I was trying to do. It's like, what? You weren't.
Boy.
The director has no idea. Like, like, come on, man.
That guy knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, it was so obvious in the second half of the movie.
Either way, so a few kills I completely skipped because I wanted to talk about someone being cowardly and dying. We get the officer's death.
Yep.
Off screen, pulled into it. At the very least, we should have gotten some kind of blood splatter.
Yeah. Also, the woman died too.
Yeah, when
she blew up in the police car.
Yep. Because Rennie, I guess still on drugs, saw baby Jason again.
But now she
With
gets
the
now
worst editing I've seen.
I know, but now she gets the full picture of McCulloch throwing her in the water and being a bad uncle.
But you would think she would remember that?
Traumatic events. She forgot half the story.
I give it that one, but
What? But, I mean, I understand that from her perspective, like, oh my God, he's so evil. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to do that weird thing, like you're scared of the water. I'm gonna throw you in the water, but if anything goes wrong, I'm gonna get you out of the water.
Yeah, but
it's kind of
there's safer ways to do that.
Sure, but he didn't know Jason was gonna pull her down.
Well, there's still safer ways to do it because technically they were in the middle of the lake. Like,
What if he
that,
took?
that happened to me too. My
What?
dad just picked me up and threw me in the water, but guess
okay.
where he threw me? The shallow end, because I was still too young to actually reach the shallow end. But he literally got right on in there, and without any stress for himself, if I dropped down, he'd pick me up. Again, there's safer ways to have done this type of learning.
Yeah. Well, okay, he's a dick.
And also think about the movie Taxi with Queen Latifah and Jimmy Fallon. I think it was Jimmy Fallon.
I feel like I'd rather not think about that.
His character literally jokingly says, or his mother says, well, that's how your father taught you how to swim, throw you in the lake and say, you drown, you kill the whole family. And the guy goes, well, I can't swim either.
That's true. There's about 10 minutes here, which I think are the best 10 minutes of the movie, where we just see Jason interacting with New York. And he's walking down the street, sees the gangbangers.
Which Jason does something he never would have done. He lifts his mask up. We all know Jason has an issue with people seeing his actual face.
This is almost too much self-awareness, because he's basically like, I don't have time to kill you, so I'm just going to scare you off by showing my face. That's a little bit too intelligent, again, for Jason, but whatever.
You know, not to mention he's self-conscious about the way he looks.
That was almost like a Freddy move.
Yeah.
But still, great scene. And then also we get, hey, a maniac killer's chasing us. Welcome to New York. With that beautiful New York accent.
And then Jason just busts through.
And we have a death scene.
Allegedly. Kim Kersinger comes up, gets thrown into the glass,
Softly.
and allegedly dies.
He's not dead.
He's not dead. There's no way a man that big can die from that kind of impact.
I bet you he was back at work the next day.
Most likely.
He maybe went to the hospital to get an x-ray, but he was back at work the next day.
Well, so the train scene. Did you notice that there's a poster that says Jason lives under a hockey mask?
Is there?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was when they were running from Jason right after they pulled the emergency stop on the train. They run out. You clearly see a hockey mask on the side with a very caption at the bottom, Jason lives.
I don't
I was
understand.
like, thank you for reminding me of a movie I'd rather be watching.
And this movie asks some questions about the psychology of Jason, because he's a mass murdering machine, right? But in these scenes, like on the train, he's walking by hundreds of people and not bothering them. And it's kind of weird to see him in that environment and see, like, why is he so hell bent on those two people just because they were on the boat?
I guess so.
Because it doesn't touch their mouths.
So Jason fries on train tracks. Movie's over. Finally. But wait, there's more.
He's back.
And now we go to the sewers.
Well, now we're going to get a hell of a stupid ending.
Nope, movie's over. I'm done. Fuck you all.
Wait a minute. We got to see Muppets in Manhattan first.
No!
We got to see Muppet Face.
No!
Yeah.
I don't wanna.
You know, when Jason unmasks, you have good results and bad results. Part 4, good result.
What happened
Great
to
makeup.
Jason's face?
great makeup in part 4. Part 6, Unmasked, great result, great makeup. Part 7, great makeup, great result. Unmasked in part 8.
What happened to Jason's face?
He's melting!
He doesn't even have a reason to melt yet.
He's just permanent melt face. You know what he looks like? He looks like one of the zombies
He looks like the Toxic Avenger.
No, he looks like... Remember Return of the Living Dead? Who's the main zombie dude?
Tarman.
He looks like fucking Tarman.
No, Tarman looks better.
No, Tarman looks better, but he has that kind of face, which makes no sense for Jason.
But
All right, more importantly, why does this sewer get, like, drenched with toxic waste at, like, 11 o'clock every night or some shit? How does that make any sense?
what makes no sense is, it would make more sense if this toxic waste melted Jason completely down to nothing. But what we get is Jason degrades into baby Jason with no deformity, I might add. Why?
Okay, this is probably, as much as we complain about the part 7 ending with Tina's father, this is actually worse. And him melting into baby Jason, it had to be her imagination.
That's the only thing that would make sense, but
But by the way, if it was real, did they literally leave a little kid in the sewer?
well, he was dead.
No, at the end he was just crying.
I'm pretty sure he was dead.
Well, his legs moving. Hold on.
Because the water's pushing it.
Dark.
Like I was saying, the kid is clearly dead at the end. So, for some reason, I thought the kid was okay. Either way,
You're mixing up what right before with that part.
but my point is though, even if he is dead, you just leave the little kid's body in the sewer.
Apparently. I mean, when have they ever had anyone actually go back and get Jason?
And how's this dog still alive? And how did the dog find them again?
The real question is, what are they going to do now? They're in New York, alone, no money. No one apparently knows they're there.
Well, at what point do they go to the police? Hey,
Both their parents are dead, so it's not like they can call somebody.
I didn't like the ending because at the end they're almost acting like they're about to have like a romantic, happy ending life. I'm like, you realize that like 100 people just died in this situation. At some point, you have to go tell the authorities what happened. I understand why part 9, the next one, disregard this completely because there's nowhere to go from here, basically. You turn Jason to a little kid in Manhattan, and he had Muppet face.
Or the movie takes place 18 years after this.
Holy shit. You know, this movie's so bad that Paramount sold the rights to Jason to New Line after this movie.
Probably a good thing.
And it was the least successful box office-wise of all of them up to this point.
Gee, I wonder why.
That said, I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed this movie. This movie has such a rewatchability. But let's go to our category. Take it.
Best. I'm breaking our rule. I'm giving it to Kane Hodder because fuck this movie. Fuck the not even the movie. Fuck the characters. All these characters are despicable.
I disagree, man. These are some good characters. These are better characters than Part 7, at least. I'm going to go with Julius because I talked the actor on Facebook and he responded to me. So I think Julius,
His agent.
Julius, even though he should have zigged when he zagged, should have ran and not fought, is
And then get thrown out and then drowned in a barrel of toxic waste.
still probably, all things considered, the most badass human being in the series so far.
No, I'm giving it to Jason because
Well, that's against the rules, so you're just breaking the rules.
too bad. This movie broke the rules.
How does Jason get best performance when he has the ability to teleport?
Exactly.
That's not fair.
They gave him a character trait and he stuck with it.
He didn't do anything except show up randomly in scenes where he didn't belong, all right?
And he punched a mirror.
That was good. Okay, I'm changing to him for that. No, I'm giving it to Julius, damn it.
Okay, worst performance. Rennie.
You
Either
know,
Rennie or Sean for me.
Rennie and Sean, I felt like had no chemistry. I didn't buy them as a couple. I didn't like either of them. Sean was the last minute replacement. They'd hired somebody else who they then fired and at the last second brought him in. Rennie was almost played by the girl who played Jessie on Saved by the Bell. But they went with Rennie. These two and also Part 7's final couple to me are the worst male and female leads of the entire series. But in terms of the worst, I'm going to go with Sean.
I'm giving.
I don't think Sean at any point showed any facial expressions at all. The worst male character in the series.
So I'm giving it to Rennie because just like most of the others, she is our main character. She's the one we follow. She is the one that needs to put up a pretty damn good performance in order for us to care. As bad as Sean was, if he died, the movie would not have changed a single bit. You should not be able to say that about Rennie.
She had the thing of like remember Maria Rooney in Nightmare Remake.
Oh my gosh.
That thing where the character seems almost like sedated throughout the movie, like no emotion, no facial expression. She couldn't really pull off like any of the emotional scenes. So.
All right, best scene.
Oh, easily the boxing scene by far.
For me, it's easily the sewer scene. I mean, who doesn't want to see Jason?
We haven't got to the worst scene category.
Sorry.
Still best scene.
Oh, sorry. Best scene is right before I push play.
The blank screen?
Yes.
My God.
Okay, no. I'm giving it to the spa scene. Just because that scene, it's not really intense because you see it coming from a mile away, but it's probably the most graphic kill we get, and it's also the most painful, most cringeworthy one we get.
That had hurt.
Oh, very much so.
That wasn't a quick death because the dude had to sit there and
Not to mention that rock would be so hot, most likely it was cauterizing his wounds, keeping him alive just long enough for him to feel even more pain.
That was a specifically painful death, I agree.
Yeah, so I'm giving it to the spa scene. Worst scene.
Well,
Do we need to even mention this one?
Yeah, Muppet Jason at the ending. Jason turning into a little kid at the end is the worst ending in the entire series.
Not only that, but he turns into a little kid with no deformity. Why is half of baby Jason deformity, half of baby Jason not deformity? Jason had a deformity, so we should have kept it with that the entire movie.
It's some weird thing where Rennie's visions are actually real and come to life, which makes no sense. But okay, whatever.
Oh my goodness.
So one thing I could change, it's pretty obvious.
The ending?
No, just give us more Manhattan. If this movie was 20-minute boat, 80-minute Manhattan, I'd think it'd a much better movie. If you didn't have the budget for it, then don't call it Jason Takes Manhattan. Call it Jason on a Boat. Jason Takes a Cruise.
For me, it's the whole ending. I do feel like, even though I've bitched and complained about a lot of things in this movie, the ending, if the ending was good, I probably would enjoy this movie more. But watching this movie and knowing the ending cuts me out of everything. I just cannot. I'd rather have the movie ended with Ken Kersinger and Jason Voorhees going toe-to-toe for 5 minutes, and then finally the movie just ends before we get an ending.
True.
I would have rather that than this sewer scene.
Yep.
I would have changed. So that's what I would be changing, the climax completely. I understand you made a killer in an area where he cannot be killed, so you had to come up with the most ridiculous way possible. At this point, have the Predator ship just land right on him. Instead of Manhattan, they went to L.A., somehow found themselves in L.A.,
Yep.
and have the Predator ship land right on top of Jason before his fight with Danny Glover.
Beautiful. I'd watch that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give my final thoughts to begin with. This movie sold me a bag of goods that wasn't there. I wanted Jason in Manhattan. I wanted all the street scenes. Even the opening credits suggest that the movie's going to be in Manhattan. But they pulled the rope-a-dope on us because then we have 70 minutes on a cruise. Beyond teleportation, terrible continuity, terrible acting. I'm listing the negatives, a terrible ending, but positives, there are some fun moments. There are some fun kills, some fun moments. I think the boxing scene is probably one of the better scenes in the entire series. I feel like there's fun scenes in Manhattan, on the train, in the restaurant. I like Kelly Hu and her character. I like Julie's his character. They're both more likable and developed than anybody in Part 7. I'm going to go ahead and say 2 stars, actually. I think that within the Jason series, I think it's middle of the pack. It's not as bad as New Beginning. It's definitely not the upper echelon. But I the truth is, this movie is becoming more popular over the years because of the sheer ridiculousness and rewatchability of it. 2 stars as a Jason movie. In the real world, as an actual movie, -0 stars. As in the Jason world, ranking against the other movies, middle of the pack, 2 stars.
Okay, so now that Vic is done being nice, it's my turn.
No!
So let's go with the positives.
It's not possible.
Let's go with the positives because there ain't many. Because the negatives are going to take a while. So the positives is we get some fun kills and we get some decent kills. Really about all I can say about this movie. Decent kills. Because my negatives is they kill off characters that should not have been killed off so early. Yeah, the whole title of Jason Takes Manhattan makes no sense in the concept of the movie is supposed to take place in Manhattan, but takes place mainly in the Atlantic Ocean. Let's see. A lot of the deaths are tame because the MPA took them down a notch. The Jason character's makeup and face is just ridiculous. Seriously, no one wants to see Melted Man Jason because that's not how Jason looks. Not to mention the whole kid Jason just makes no damn sense to anything, especially since half the time Jason is some completely different character. Rennie is a boring character, makes no sense on why she's our main hero. Sean is a boring character, makes no sense why he's our main male hero. To be honest, at this point, I would have rather Charles be our main hero. And that's saying something, because the character was meant to be hated, and I did not hate him a lot. So overall, since I can't really find many positives about this movie, minus a boxing scene, minus a sauna scene, this movie is getting the same thing I gave Part 5, because that ending just kills me when it comes to this movie. This movie gets a 0.5 out of 4. I'm probably not touching this movie again, just because of the ending.
You ranked it lower than Part 7 even.
Yes, because Part 7 only had a lot of major things I hated about it. But this one, I just can't get past that ending scene. That ending scene makes me not put this movie on.
Damn, wow. Well, okay, well, folks, you heard it here first. Before you take Manhattan, reconsider.
And get on a cruise.
But don't leave from Crystal Lake.
Yeah. Otherwise, Jason's going to get out of the water snickering.
Muppet face Jason.
Yeah, Muppet face Jason.
And if you do go on the boat, don't bring a guitar. Don't bring a guitar because...
That's an axe.
It's an axe. You'll die. And finish your school project, too, before you get on the boat. That way you don't have to seduce your teacher and then get killed by Jason.
Yep. So, as usual, you don't have to go home. You just got to get on that boat, go to New York, enjoy yourselves, and also make sure you're not left in the restaurant when the teacher is clearly panicked.
That's for us. Next week, us with Jason, we're going to hell.